Have you ever noticed there's this invisible secret code running quietly in the background of the English language? It's literally a code that native speakers follow flawlessly every single day. And yet, if you actually ask them to explain the rules, yeah, almost no one could do it. Well, welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to be your guide today as we uncover the hidden architecture behind exactly how we describe the world. So let's just dive right into it and crack the secret code of English adjectives.
Okay, think about this. Why is it that we naturally say a big red ball, but the second someone says a red big ball, it immediately sounds, I don't know, completely wrong to our ears? It feels clunky, right? Just totally unnatural. But why? I mean, they're the exact same descriptive words. Well, this brilliantly illustrates that we're all operating on this highly complex subconscious grammatical software. And today, we're going to make that subconscious conscious.
Here is exactly how we'll crack this code today. First, we'll look at the secret adjective order. Second, the degrees of comparison. Third, breaking comparison rules. Fourth, cracking compound adjectives. And finally, when not to hyphenate. All right, kicking things off with section 1, the secret adjective order. So, when we have multiple words describing a single thing, they really can't just be thrown together randomly. There is actually a super rigid formula dictating exactly how they stack up. It's called the OASAS comp order. That stands for opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, and purpose. Basically, when we stack adjectives, we're always moving from the subjective straight down to the objective. We start with opinion, words like beautiful, delicious, or terrible, because, well, that's totally up to the speaker, right? Then we move closer and closer to undeniable facts. Size and age come next, moving down through shape and color until we get to the absolute permanent facts sitting right next to the noun itself, origin, material, and purpose. Think of a sleeping bag or a wooden table. The purpose and material are practically glued to the noun. Let's actually test this software in your brain right now. Listen to this phrase, a velvet, new, comfortable dress. Oh man, it physically hurts to hear, doesn't it? It completely scrambles the code. Now, try it this way, a comfortable, new velvet dress. Ah, smooth, natural, perfect. And that's because it perfectly follows our order. Opinion first with comfortable, age next with new, and material last with velvet. Now, before you start panicking, thinking you need to memorize this massive 8-step formula for literally every conversation, let me reassure you, it is incredibly rare to use more than 3 adjectives at once in real life. Honestly, nobody actually says a useful, big, new, square, gray American plastic storage box. That's just weird. Instead, we usually just pick 2 or 3, like a tiny red Italian car. Bam, that's size, color, origin. Or a lovely old ceramic coffee mug. Opinion, age, material, purpose. See? The code effortlessly scales down for everyday use.
Moving right along to section 2, the degrees of comparison.
Okay, so how do we turn the volume up on our adjectives? Well, every adjective basically has 3 states of intensity. First up is the positive degree. This is where there's no comparison being made at all. Something is just big or active. Then we step it up to the comparative degree, which we use when we are comparing exactly 2 things. For shorter words, we just slap an ER on the end to make bigger, but for longer, multi-syllable words, we put more in front, making it more active. Finally, we have the superlative degree. This compares more than 2 things, showing the absolute highest degree possible. We add EST to get biggest, or most to get most active. But listen, even with this slick mathematical scaling, it is so easy to accidentally break the code. The golden rule here? Never, ever use double comparatives. You absolutely cannot say, these mangoes are more delicious than those. That is double stacking your modifiers. You also have to make sure you're comparing similar things. For example, you shouldn't say, this wall color is more beautiful than the old wall. You have to compare the color to the color, saying, this wall color is more beautiful than that of the old one. Logic is totally key here. And there's another fascinating little exception hidden right in the code. So normally we use the word than for comparisons, right? Like, I am taller than her. But for a very specific set of adjectives, words like elder, senior, junior, superior, and inferior, the code strictly demands we use the word to. So saying I am elder than her is actually totally incorrect. It absolutely must be I am elder to her. Which brings us to section 3, breaking comparison rules. English loves its rules, but honestly, it loves breaking them even more. Say hello to the irregular adjectives. These are the absolute oddballs that completely ignore those ER and EST suffix upgrades we literally just learned about. When these guys scale up in intensity, the whole word completely transforms. You don't say good, good, or goodest. Nope, you say good, better, best. You don't say bad, badder, baddest. It transforms to bad, worse, worst. And because these are some of the most common adjectives we use every single day, we kind of just memorize their irregular transformations very early on. We actually see this transformation happen with other common concepts too, like much scales up to more and peaks at most. Or if we're talking about an amount, little drops to less and bottoms out at least. So even though they totally break the standard spelling rules, they still strictly follow that really predictable three-tier structure: positive, comparative, and superlative. All right, on to section 4, cracking compound adjectives. So what happens when we take two entirely separate words and just glue them together to build a brand new custom adjective? Well, we get a compound adjective. And a compound adjective is precisely that, joining two or more words together with a hyphen, and then using that newly forged word to modify a noun or pronoun. Take a cold-blooded killer or an 800-page novel. That tiny little punctuation mark, the hyphen, is the critical piece of code here. It's signaling to the reader that these words are operating as a single unit. They belong together. And the power of this tiny little line is actually incredible. Without a hyphen, if you write, "I saw a man eating lion today," you are grammatically telling me that you saw a human being sitting down to a nice meal of lion meat. But add that hyphen between man and eating, and boom, you've just changed a very bizarre dietary choice into a very dangerous animal. This perfectly shows why hyphenating is absolutely crucial to prevent ambiguity. The code is also highly efficient, thanks to a pretty neat trick called the hanging hyphen, or sometimes it's called a suspended hyphen. Look at this example. She took pre- and postnatal vitamins. Both pre and post are meant to be attached to the word natal. By using a hanging hyphen right after pre, we don't have to clumsily repeat the word natal twice. It just makes your writing read so much more elegantly. It's a real game changer. And finally, section 5, when not to hyphenate. But hey, with great grammatical power comes great responsibility, right? If you overuse hyphens, you're going to crash the whole system. There are some very strict scenarios where hyphens are essentially outlawed, even if two words are working together to modify a noun. Basically, you must completely skip the hyphen if you're using comparative modifiers, superlative modifiers, or if your compound modifier includes an adverb ending in ly. Take the phrase, most brilliant singer. Because most is a superlative modifier showing the highest degree, just like we learned back in section 2, it absolutely does not need to be glued to brilliant with a hyphen. Just leave it wide open as most brilliant singer. And here is that final critical exception in action. Take the phrase, an unusually talented student. You have an ly adverb, unusually, modifying the adjective, talented, which then modifies student. Now, you might be super tempted to put a hyphen between unusually and talented to group them together. Don't do it. The ly ending actually acts as its own grammatical glue. It's inherently telling the reader what it's doing, so it stands perfectly correct without needing a hyphen. So there you have it. We've unraveled the OSAS comp order, we've climbed the degrees of comparison, navigated the irregular oddballs, and totally mastered the hyphenation of compounds. Now, it's time to put your upgraded grammatical software to the test in the real world. Look around the room you're sitting in right now. Just pick a single object and try to describe it using at least 3 adjectives in the exact correct secret order we learned today: opinion, size, age, shape, color, origin, material, purpose. Can you do it? Seriously, try it right now. It is amazing how much clearer the whole world becomes once you actually know the secret code. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep practicing that code.